You know what's wild about NASCAR right now? It's not just the racing that's changing. It's the way we watch the sport that's changing. And over the next 5 weeks, NASCAR is making one of the boldest media moves we've seen in years. Because Prime Video isn't just streaming Cup Series races. They're stacking the broadcast with some of the biggest names, biggest personalities, and biggest legends this sport has ever seen. And honestly, this might completely change the vibe of NASCAR coverage moving forward. We're talking about Hall of Famers, champions, fan favorites, drivers who lived through some of the most iconic eras in stock car racing. Carl Edwards, Jeff Gordon, Brad Keselowski, Martin Truex Jr., Mark Martin. That's not a random guest list. That's a lineup that could genuinely make NASCAR broadcasts feel fresh again. But here's the thing nobody's really talking about yet. This isn't just entertainment. This is NASCAR and Prime Video trying to prove its streaming can actually connect with hardcore fans better than traditional TV. And if this works, it could completely change how the sport is presented in the future. Stick with me, because there's a lot to unpack here. And hey, real quick, if you are a true NASCAR fan like me, go ahead and drop a like and subscribe to the channel. NASCAR Nation News is just getting started. We are pushing for our next subscriber milestone, and it's all about real talk from fans who live this sport every week. All right, let's get into it. So here's the official setup. Prime Video is taking over Cup Series coverage for the next 5 races, and alongside Danielle Trotta and Corey LaJoie, they're bringing in a rotating lineup of NASCAR legends every single week. And honestly, this feels way bigger than people realize. Because if you watch Prime's coverage last year, you already know the energy felt different. It didn't feel robotic. It didn't feel overproduced. It actually felt like race fans talking racing. That's why so many people love the post-race coverage. The conversations felt loose, the reactions felt real, and the drivers looked way more comfortable opening up. Now Prime is doubling down on that formula. And leading the charge once again is Carl Edwards for the Coca-Cola 600. And I'm just going to say it straight. Carl Edwards has become one of the best personalities in NASCAR media without even trying. Last year during the Coke 600 coverage, the guy went full fan mode, watching Ross Chastain make that insane winning move on William Byron. You could literally feel the excitement through the screen. That moment mattered because fans are tired of hearing people talk about racing like corporate analysts. They want emotion. They want authenticity. They want somebody reacting the same way they are sitting on the couch at home. And Carl Edwards brought that. Then you add in the post-race interviews where they were literally celebrating with the drivers, having drinks, laughing, telling stories. That stuff works because NASCAR at its core has always been about personality. That's what built this sport. Now, after Charlotte, Prime keeps rolling with a different legend every week. At Nashville, you get Mark Martin. And if you're a longtime fan, you already know Mark Martin is basically racing wisdom personified. The guy raced through multiple generations of NASCAR. He's respected by everybody, and he brings this old school racer mentality that fans still love. Then at Michigan, you bring in Martin Truex Jr. Now, Pat is interesting, because Truex literally just stepped away from full-time competition, which means he still has fresh relationships with most of the garage. He knows the current drivers. He understands the playoff pressure. He understands the next-gen car better than almost anybody sitting behind a desk right now. That perspective could be huge, especially this season where teams are fighting for every playoff point and every little advantage matters. Then at Pocono, Prime adds Brad Keselowski. And honestly, this might be the most fascinating one of the entire lineup, because Brad isn't just a champion driver anymore. He's an owner. He's a businessman. He's involved in every layer of modern NASCAR. So when Brad talks about strategy, manufacturer politics, team pressure, or where the sport is heading, fans are getting real insight, not filtered talking points. And then you close the run with Jeff Gordon at the San Diego Street Course. Now let's be honest. Jeff Gordon still carries massive star power in this sport. Whether you grew up cheering for him or booing him, the guy commands attention. And with NASCAR heading into a street course environment that already feels experimental and high pressure, having Gordon there makes perfect sense, because he understands how NASCAR balances tradition with innovation better than almost anybody. But here's the bigger conversation. Why is NASCAR leaning this hard into legends right now? Because I think the sport understands something important. Fans crave connection, especially right now. There's been so much debate lately about officiating consistency, playoff formats, manufacturer drama, and the overall direction of NASCAR. And sometimes fans feel disconnected from the people actually presenting the sport. But when you put respected former drivers in front of the camera, fans listen, because those guys lived it. They understand what it feels like to lose a race in the final corner. They understand team pressure. They understand sponsor expectations. They understand what happens behind closed garage doors. That authenticity matters. And honestly, Prime may have accidentally discovered the perfect formula for modern NASCAR coverage. Less scripted energy, more real racing conversations. Now, obviously, not everybody loves streaming. That's still going to be a huge debate. Some fans hate having races spread across different platforms. Some fans miss the simplicity of traditional cable coverage, and that criticism is completely fair. But if Prime keeps delivering strong production, passionate personalities, and deeper access to drivers, a lot of fans may start changing their minds, because at the end of the day, people just want coverage that feels passionate. And right now, this Prime lineup absolutely feels passionate. The other thing to watch here is how much freedom these legends are allowed to have on air. Because if Prime lets these guys speak openly and honestly, that could create some of the most entertaining NASCAR discussions we've had in years, especially with personalities like Edwards and Keselowski involved. Those are guys who aren't afraid to say what they actually think, and fans love that. So now the pressure shifts to Prime Video. Can they keep the momentum going? Can they make streaming feel like the future of NASCAR coverage instead of just another platform deal? And maybe most importantly, can they keep fans emotionally connected to the sport during one of the most competitive eras we've seen in a long time? Because if they pull this off, I really believe other broadcasters are going to start copying this exact formula. More legends, more personality, more authenticity. And honestly, that might be exactly what NASCAR coverage has been missing. But now I want to hear from E. Which NASCAR legend are you most excited to see during Prime Video's 5-race run? Carl Edwards, Jeff Gordon, Brad Keselowski, Martin Truex Jr., Martin? And do you think streaming coverage is actually good for NASCAR? Or is the sport moving too far away from traditional TV? Drop your thoughts down in the comments. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss another NASCAR update right here on NASCAR Nation News.